And let me say, hello, James.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good today. I've just had some breakfast, so I'm feeling very, very good now.
I was going to say, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You've had some breakfast.
I know I usually fast, so.
Oh, right. Okay. So now I have to ask you about that. Why do you usually fast?
Um, well, just in a very general sense, it's simply because usually when I wake up in the morning, I just drink a glass of water, usually lemon water, straight away, because it puts your body in an alkaline state. Not to go super deep with this, but it puts your body in an alkaline state, and it's good for your body to function properly. Sorry?
I've got a question. How does lemon, which is very acid, put your body in an alkaline state?
Honestly, I can't go down the scientific. It's what I heard. It could be right, could be wrong. I've done it for like 6 years now, so
I assume
it's meant to be very good for just to help your body heal and function properly. But it seems to work. I mean, I feel pretty good. So
cool, great. Okay. So we've established that you've been up, you've drunk your water, you've eaten your breakfast, and now we're ready to go. So James Malins, the Wisdom Guide. That's a job title. How did you decide on that?
So it's interesting. I kind of, it's not that I don't go by that anymore, but I kind of took the wisdom out. And when people say to me, what is it I do? I just say I'm a guide, because, and I know that this is to do with coaching, which is of course something I do on a very beautiful level. I've done it for a while now. But I find that it's an umbrella for everything that is I do. I've done my NLP qualifications. I've done my hypnotherapy and hypnosis. I've done law of attraction practitioner courses, but the truth is they're all tools. They're not who I am, but what I use to achieve what it is that I want to do. So in a nutshell, to answer your question, the Wisdom Guide was just created because wisdom and knowledge is something I really love to study and explore, and concepts and perceptions of reality and ideas of life and why we feel the way we do, why we go through what we do, is something that I really enjoy. So that's where I come from.
Fantastic. Please excuse Winnie. She is going to sit next to me and pester the life out of me unless I just let her sit on my knee. So she'll look out the window. The window is there.
Yeah.
So Winnie, James, Winnie.
Beautiful. Hello.
She's lovely. She's lovely. One of two. Anyway, okay. So that's a lot of tools you got in your toolkit. And which of them do you find you use the most?
It entirely depends upon the situation of the individual who I am coaching, So if somebody has gone through a traumatic past, or they've got a lot of belief systems that are in place that are holding them back from seeing the truth of their life, then perhaps I'll use some bits and pieces from NLP, or maybe even hypnotherapy as well, because it's all about finding the answers within. That's one thing that I found, is that we can look externally, which is fine. It's a component. I'm not saying it's not important, but often you'll find most of the very important answers within yourself, So for instance, take an individual who has had a really terrible upbringing. Parents neglected them, abused them, and it was all very, very dark and unhappy and nasty. But then once we go through some of the coaching processes, I ask the question, what's that prepared you for? Right? Because you'll often find that the people who have been through the worst things end up doing the or some of the most beautiful things in the world, and it's about changing that perspective and shifting it around and moving it so that people can, like I said, see the truth of their situation, which isn't always easy when you look from just one place.
Cool. So tell me about James before he became the Wisdom Guide. How did you end up doing what you do now?
So I'll keep this nice and just concise for people to absorb. But long ago, when I was in school, and as many people have, was bullied and was the skinny kid, the trodden down kid, the one who was ignored and pushed to the side, I just started asking myself the right questions. And for me, the right questions were, why is this happening? What does this mean? Why am I allowing this to happen? And started to move my attention from the outside world and to the inside world, saying to myself, it's not because of me, because I know I'm a good person. I'm just a normal person, just a normal guy, and people should be able to enjoy my company. So therefore, more questions started to rise, saying, why is this not the case? Again, why am I allowing this to happen? And when I did that, my entire life changed, and people started to treat me differently. people started to actually want to be around me. I went from being the bullied, trodden kid to actually being quite popular, which wasn't in fact a benefit, but I'll get to that another time. And then from there, I just started sharing that perspective with people. And it's kind of like people who were listening and absorbing it, they just look as though what I was talking about was some kind of magical, creative ideology and philosophy. And that made me feel really good. And then I said to myself, this is something. Like I feel this is something that means something to me. This is something that I can really enjoy. And it just went from there. I started to do Facebook Lives every day, which was a feat in itself.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, and just trying to share different ideas, different concepts with people. And then the journey has just snowballed from there. So that was the moment when I discovered my purpose. And then every moment from then has just been increasing that and understanding more, helping people, and just learning and growing through that process.
Okay, so what kind of client benefits most from working with you?
Again, this is the interesting thing, and I will always go against the grain of the norm when I say this, but for me to understand who my usual or ideal client was, I had to actually be in the space and actually coach and teach people for a while. And for me, it's usually women, although that does not mean that I don't coach men as well. Yeah. And it's just, I think that is simply because of the shift in perspective that's happening in the world. Again, this is going to be quite an interesting conversation or topic to bring up. But what I've noticed is that a lot of ladies and women in the world are starting to realize their potential, which has been pushed down for a significant amount of time.
Forever.
Sorry?
Forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then, but you see, there is also a consequence to that, is only from my perspective, not saying this is fact, but a lot of guys have started to assume the role that it is their fault, right? Again, in some cases it is, but what I've started to realize is that now it's going to take forgiveness to raise both. So it's like we've been down the path of male dominance and of society over the generations and years. Now we're coming into an age where women are starting to rise and bring their love and their nurturing and their feminine energy into the mix. But obviously the thing with that is we both have the masculine and feminine within us. So therefore men also need to realize that it's okay that they've been taught the wrong. And I used to work in a prison, so I've been around all mixes of people, all walks of life.
Masculine.
Yeah, right. But also, like, in a sense, like, you still see the feminine within those people, but it's been beaten the hell out of them, and therefore when you talk to them about love, they look at you like you're out of space, because they just don't understand the idea of it, because for them, love is weakness, love is BS, and love is all this other stuff. And well, I'm assuming that you and I will know that that's not the case. It doesn't mean to love does not mean you are weak. To love is power, because it's balance of both, but yeah.
Of course. So I'm really interested in something you said then. You particularly enjoy working with women. Women particularly benefit from working with you, but you worked in a prison, a male prison. So I'm going, okay, explain that to me. How does that work?
Well, again, it's not to say that I enjoy either or. It just seems to be what has transpired over the months, Working in the prison was an eye-opener for me. And it was interesting because I spoke on stage recently and I said this, and I said that I had to go to work in a prison. I didn't know this at the time, but I had to go there to see that people inherently are not evil. And so I'm just going to also be a hypocrite and contradict myself. There are some times in some cases where I cannot explain that to be true. Mm-hmm. But I had to see that the vast majority of the time that it's just people that have not known any different, and again, I've been, like I say, I've been around every kind of individual who has done every kind of wrong. And to be in that place, when I first went in there, so I had my opinions, for the real worst stuff in life, I had my very strong opinions, but from what I'd seen and heard, and when I'd spoke to them, it's like, it's just a world that is so complex, so confused, and as much as I don't like the word broken, it is broken, it's fractured, you know, and it needs a lot of healing. But to answer your question, again, it's just, you know, if a gentleman comes my way and says, hey, I've been seeing your stuff, I could really do with your help, awesome. I'll, like, you know, let's jump on a call to see if I can help you. If not, then, you know, we'll go our separate ways and then just go from there.
I think one of the things that can be quite hard to accept when we've got our kind of social judgy head on, and we've all got a social judgy head, is that wherever you end up in life, be it at the top of the tree or in prison, it's based on the choices that you make and the decisions that you make. And people make decisions, I think, based on the information that they have at the time. And it's really easy to have crap information.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's really easy to find yourself in a place where the information you're receiving is not in your best interest. But really hard to see that when you're in that situation.
Absolutely.
And there, but for the grace of God, you know, I hasten to add, I'm not a religious woman, but, you know, there, but for the grace of the universe, God, whatever the higher power is, go the rest of us. You know, it would have been so easy for any of us to have ended up in a bad place.
And it's a beautiful thing you've just said when you said that they make choices based off the information they have. Because for the individuals who are in this group who are coaches, thinking of becoming coaches or just starting, or veterans, it's always something to think about, is that possibly, this is just a concept for people to think about, someone can always be saved, right? The only differentiating factor is if they want that, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Which leads me to a question about a joke. Okay. Now, I know you said you're not a jokey kind of person, and you don't really do telling jokes, so perhaps I should share my joke.
Please, I would love it.
So, based on exactly that, about, you know, what you just said, my favourite joke is, and I'm going to tweak it slightly to make it even more appropriate for Coaching in Public, for our group, how many coaches does it take to change a light bulb?
I have no idea.
It takes one, but the light bulb's got to really, really want to change. It's a quick drum roll there, make my dog jump. It's my favourite. It's normally how many psychologists or psychiatrists, but I figure coaches is quite a good
joke. Makes me buckle a bit, but it's good.
So, how does James's life go? Tell me about how your kind of day-to-day stuff goes.
Well, as of January, it is... I shouldn't say this because it sounds like I'm closed off, but it's been pretty busy, you know, but in a good way, you know, in a productive busy, not in a, it has to be busy, but because I've made it that way. So yeah, I've recently just opened up a business with my friend over in America called Elk, and we are focusing and creating and pushing that. So yeah, we've been really busy, focused on that, creating, building, and as you'll know yourself, like doing all of the stuff necessary at the beginning of a business. And just, yeah, enjoying the creative process and getting out there. So
what does ELK do?
So ELK stands for Entrepreneur, Love and Knowledge. And at a very, very base level, we help any entrepreneur who is perhaps spiritual or wants to come from a place of love and share their mission to do all of the online stuff, everything, you know, from branding to selling to sales funnels to websites to you name it, we do it. So.
Okay, that's really interesting. Didn't see that one coming.
No.
So what's your favourite thing to do?
My favourite thing to do? Wow. How many hours have you got?
Work right here. Just generally. I'm not talking work.
Well, this is the beautiful, because there are so many. But, you know, for me, I love the gym. I'm big on movies. I love watching movies. You know, there's always a message in a movie, you know, so I love movies. Other than work, I bet you know yourself, a lot of time takes up work. But yeah, I love the gym, I love movies, going out in nature, going and seeing my friends and just unwind and relaxing and doing nothing, you know, because we can go from everything to nothing. I like that. So
cool. And in work, what's your favorite thing in work?
My favorite thing in work, hands down, has to be over the weeks that I've been working with someone. When it comes to the 12 weeks and their life has just changed, that for me is, aside from, you see, money, as we all know, and for any new coaches out there, always be willing to charge what you're worth, because not only will you be able to support and sustain yourself, but when you've done the work and helped them to see the truth, that fulfillment is money can't buy. But as you all know, you get the best of both worlds. So, value yourself, but once you get those fulfillments from people telling you and showing you, and you see how the life has changed, that's just, words don't describe that.
Priceless.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So actually, let's stick on that one for a minute, because that's quite an interesting topic. I know of a coach who set off to become a coach. She was qualified and she set off to market herself and tried very hard to market herself to anyone who needed coaching. And the problem with that is that without a focus to your marketing, bearing in mind marketing is something that comes from you and goes to the world, that's my phone, and selling is something that comes towards you from the world, so people can come and ask you for coaching and you can say yes or no to your heart's content, whoever they are. But as far as your marketing is concerned, that's something that comes from you and goes outwards. So the perfect scenario is to have a laser focused. Okay, the dog knows when the phone rings, everybody runs around, so she's running around. So this coach tried to be one of those I can coach anyone who coaches. And the first time of me sort of spotting her, she was charging 100 and 150 pounds ish between the two for a session. By the last time that I saw her, she was trying to sell group coaching for 15 pounds for a session. And then she disappeared. And there's a lesson in that, isn't there? But what's your opinion on that?
It's an excellent question, and here's where I become a hypocrite from what I said in the beginning, because it is very, well, no, not a hypocrite, because the statement is that, after a while I really found who it was that I was serving the best. But, it is important to at least have an idea, So for instance, if you want to help people who have been through trauma, then start putting things out there that's related to that. If you want to help people who want to better their relationship, start putting stuff out that does that. And then you might find that you gravitate, and again, you may disagree or agree. This is only from my own perspective. Then you might find that men or women gravitate towards you, but always have an idea, because there's no point putting content out there that looks all for, teenagers between 18 and 24 if your people you're attracting are 40 to 50. So it's always have an idea, ask yourself the right questions as to who it is that you want to deal with, if it is men or women or both, if they are between the ages of 30 and 50, and then why is that? Perhaps because they are, as much as this is a wrong statement, more mature or more experienced, and just kind of go from there. But again, just never undervalue yourself, because there's 7 point how many billion people in the world, and the right people are out there for you. There is a place for you.
There are always enough clients for everything.
Always.
Absolutely. So what happens from now on, James? Where is your career going next? How is it going to blossom?
Oh, well, that is a question, and to come from a place of love and not arrogance, I hope and expect and am working towards it exploding. Not particularly, the financial side of things will come. It's a component of helping the world, but for me, it is about changing each person at a time, because you never know what that one individual person will then go on to do. So I know I will always be supported financially. The money's great. Like I say, never ever knock it. People will pay because they need what you have. They need what you have to offer. But when you look just slightly beyond that, the world changes. So in answer to the question, that's for me is to find more stability and just really push businesses out to the world.
So are you going to be elking, or are you going to be guiding, or are you going to be doing both?
A little bit of both. I'm going to put more of my time into elk at the minute, because I get a very good feeling. I follow my intuition there, so I'm going to be really focusing there. We've got a couple of potential clients coming across because that's been birthed since the beginning of January. So like I say, we're doing the building process and getting it out there. And then, yeah, like I've got my clients still from James Malins and just keep going. So
exciting times.
Absolutely.
Exciting times. So before we're kind of been talking for 20 odd minutes, before we kind of conclude, what would you like to say? What piece of wisdom would you like to share with the world before we finish our interview?
It's an interesting piece of wisdom, and I don't know if it will be received well by some people, but something to consider. I've often said that no matter who you are or where you're from, try to the best of your ability to come from love, and everything else will fall into place. So that's
Brilliant.
my little bit.
Brilliant. James, you're a star. It's lovely to have met you, and thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure.